Hello, this is Gregory with the Moreno Valley Public Library. Welcome to another virtual basic computer skills class. And today we are going to talk a little bit about printing. So we are here on the Moreno Valley Public Library website at moval.org/mv-library. You don't need the rest of that there. And this is just going to be a quick example of the different features you can use when printing. So, first of all, we're in Chrome, so it has these three dots to bring up the menu. If you're in a program, most likely over here on the menu bar is going to have the word File, so you'd click on File and go down to Print. But in Chrome, they want to do things a little bit different, so they have the menu hidden under these three dots. So you click on those, and you see there's Print there. A much faster way to get to it is you can just hold down Control and press P. But since we're already here, we're just going to click on Print. Alright, so it's loading the preview of what the web page is going to look like when it prints. And you see this looks quite a bit different from the website that we're looking at. It doesn't have a lot of the background images, and even some of the foreground images are not appearing. But it does look like it has a lot of the information that we need. So that's good. Now we are going to go down this list of features, and even under the More settings, there's features hidden under there as well. But we'll start here with destination. So here, you can set the destination of where it is going to print. For example, if you have more than one printer available to you, maybe you have an inkjet printer for printing in color and a black and white laser printer for printing in black and white, you would be able to select between those two printers. Or you can also save as a PDF. But we're just going to leave it on the Xerox. Now this is 9 pages, so that's a lot of pages. And if we scroll through, especially on the last page, you see there's only 2 lines there. That's not even worth printing. So how can we just choose particular pages that we want to print? Well, under Pages, you click here. You go to Custom, and this is an example. So you can type 1 to 5, and that would print pages 1 to 5. You could type 8, and that would print page 8. Or you could do the whole thing, 1 to 5, 8, and 11 to 13, and it's going to print those pages. So that's very, very handy if there's particular pages. So in our case, we don't need that last page, so we are going to type 1 to 8. Now you see it says 8 sheets of paper, so we'll just use that as an example there. And of course you can go through and just pick out 1 or 2 pages if you like, just the pages that have the information that you need. Here we can select how many copies, so you can either use these up and down arrows, like that, or you can just type in the number. Okay, and when you do anything other than 1, you see it adds collate. So basically what collate means is keeping the pages in order. So if you're printing 20 copies, you want to keep all those pages in order, because that's going to be 160 sheets of paper. So if you unselect this, it's going to print 20 copies of the first page, 20 copies of the second page, and so on. So you want to leave that checked. You can change the orientation of the paper. So here you see the short edge is up here, the long edge is down this way. But you can choose landscape. and it's going to look a little bit different. So here you have the long edge this way and the short edge this way. And that did change the number of pages. Sometimes when you change from portrait to landscape, it actually uses fewer pages. So that can be handy as well. But we are going, let's just put 2, and let's go back to portrait. And again, we were doing 1 to 8. Okay, now here, maybe you decide you don't need it in color. You want to save your color ink. So here you can switch it to black and white. And again, each thing that you change, it updates the preview right here. So you see it went from black and white to color, and vice versa. Now there are some really handy features under More Settings. So we'll click on that. And you see it opens all these possibilities here. You can change the paper size. 2 of the more common paper sizes would be letter, 8.5 by 11, or legal, 8.5 by 14. But there's all these other ones as well. For example, if you even want to print on an envelope. But we're going to leave it on letter. Now, pages per sheet. So essentially, if this number is greater than 1, it's going to reduce the size of this page to fit more than 1 page on a sheet. And you'll see what I mean. So we're going to change it to 2. You see there, it shrunk that first page down to take up half a page, and this is the second page, and the third page, and the fourth page, and so on. And it did change from portrait to landscape. And you can even do 4. That fits quite a few on there, switches back to portrait. Basically, it's trying to fit as many pages on there as possible, so it switches between portrait and landscape as necessary. You can even do up to 16. And that, you know, it's basically going to be like thumbnails. So you'll have an idea of what's on the page, but you might not be able to read it. But let's leave it on 1. Now the margins, you can leave it on default. You can see it has a good size margin there. You can put none. So that's going to do the maximum possible that the printer allows. You can do minimum. Slightly larger than none. And you can also do custom. But we're going to leave it on default. You can scale it. So you can change the size manually. So just for example, let's change it to 70%. So it actually fit a little more of the page on there. So this might be ideal for printing a website by making it a little bit smaller. And again, it's graying these out because it doesn't. Page 8 no longer exists. There's only 3 pages now. So that's another way to save on paper. Reduce the size. So let's do 1. And let's change this back to default. And we're going to go back to our 1 to 8. And we don't want 20 copies, so let's go back down to 1. All right. Now here, that was scale. You can also print on both sides of the paper. So you check that box. More often than not, you want to leave it on flip on long edge. That way, as you flip the paper over, the print on it is still going to be facing up the correct way. Whereas if you flip on short edge, you're going to have to flip the paper the other way so the print is upright on one side and upside down on the other side. But generally you want to leave it on flip on long edge. That's like when you read a book, you're turning the page over and you're not reading upside down, basically. But we're just going to leave it on single-sided. You can select headers and footers. So what that does, it adds the date up here, and it adds the title of the web page you're on. On the bottom here, it adds the actual URL to the page you're on, and it shows what page you're on. So it says 1 out of 9. So that could be handy, but we're going to leave it off. It looks a little cleaner with it off. Now, this right here is going to have the biggest impact on the way it prints. So we're going to check background graphics. Now, right now it's in black and white, so we're going to go back up and change it to color. And you'll see the big difference here. So here you're seeing some of the images that are in the background of the text. You see some of the border there. You see the background gray, background blue, some of these images that didn't appear before. So if you want it to look more like the actual website, you want to leave on background graphics. So that can be handy. And of course you're going to be using a lot more ink, especially when you get on pages like this where the whole background is going to be covered in ink, essentially. So we're going to take that off. We don't want to use that much ink. And then the last thing I have to show you, and this is a little more advanced. More often than not, you won't need to use it, but you can click on Print Using System Dialog. So we no longer have that other printing menu. We now have this one. This is the one that typically comes up if you're just on the computer, not necessarily in an application or in Chrome. It gives you the possibility to choose your printer there. You can choose your preferences. For example, if you want to send the paper to a different tray in your printer, you can do that there. Also, you can adjust the print quality, or if you want to add a printer, you can find printer right there. And much like the custom pages, you can also do the page range here, and the number of copies, and again, collating. So if I make that 2, it has collate checked. Alright. And then, either way, if you're in the other screen or on this one, then you'll just click on print and it's going to print. Alright. So that is it. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you've learned a little bit about printing, and be sure to check out our website, moval.org, www.perris.org/mv-library. And also check out some of our digital resources. If you scroll down on here, you can see online resources. Click on that. And we have all kinds of interesting content and features for you. So be sure and check that out. Thanks again for watching. And this has been a presentation of the Moreno Valley Public Library.